Everybody, MC Serch.
Oh, look who it is.
I'm having some real setup challenges tonight, man. I'm not happy. See, like that's. I'm not really feeling the show tonight, man. I feel a little scatterbrained. I feel a little echoey. Things are not good right now. I'm not a happy guy.
Not in a good place.
Nah, this show feels rushed. I feel very rushed. This is not good, man. My wife did an amazing job on my hair tonight. I'm hearing echoes.
I do hear an echo as well.
I don't know what's going on with us, man. This show sucks right now. It sucks. It really is terrible. What the fuck is that? Like, we spent all this money. We got a beautiful studio and like we can't get it right. Like, what's going on?
We can pause for a little bit and I can see what we can do.
And then we lose like half the audience because they're like, these guys can't get it together.
I'm trying to think why we would hear two of you.
You're killing me, Smalls. I'm gonna check my mic on my. Is that better?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
it's wonderful.
It takes a professional. Every once in a while.
Well,
Now it's back.
I'm glad you're around.
Wait, now it's back.
What'd you change?
I didn't change anything. Hold on. Let me see. What about now? Is it better now?
I don't.
Hello, 1 2 1 2.
Yes.
Now I can't
Yeah, you're
hear
good.
you.
What?
1 2 1 2.
Now can you hear me?
I'm so mad. 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It's gonna be one of these shows. I can tell already. I'm miserable. I have great people on. I have Bobby J from Rockaway. I'm a huge fan. My man Jensen Karp is gonna be here in 15 minutes. The world's falling apart, and my show sounds like shit. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us. Anyway, all right. So anyway, it's your boy.
You sound fine. Can you hear me though?
I can hear you perfect. I sound like a hot bag of shit.
You
And
sound fine to us.
All right, that's fine. I guess so. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. I got a shadow on my face. My wife busted her ass. I mean, how does the studio look good at least? It looks good. At least that looks good. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's Serch. Prime Minister Pumice is in the building.
I'm here.
From his new
Messing
location.
shit up, apparently.
You know what? But here's the thing. Like, you're in a new location. We got things together last minute. This is not the way we should be doing things. People deserve better. We have very big sponsors. Masco.com. We got new sponsors, Life Key. We got, people expect a professional show. We should give them a professional show. We shouldn't be dicking around.
Well, let's move forward. Onward. And upward.
You sound borderline obnoxious. And I'm really questioning your methodology on the show right now. I got to be honest with you.
I'm just being positive.
All right. That's fine. I'll allow that.
Okay, good.
All right. So you know what? I got to take these. The headphones are just. I don't know what it is, but the headphones are driving me crazy because there's a crazy echo. I hope it's better for you guys out there. If it is, I'm going to go to the live comments because I'm sure you're already complaining. Serch's mic sounds low. Echo is gone. Hello? How is that, guys? Is that better?
The thing is, the louder you speak, the more the echo comes in. Do you have your speakers on?
No. I don't have anything on. I don't know what's going on. This is all messed up. Now I'm going to disappear. See,
No,
I'm
it's
gone
not.
now.
No, you're perfect.
I'm perfect now?
Yeah. Oh, now you're gone.
And now I'm back.
Yeah, but with a little bit of echo.
It's terrible. You should be ashamed. You know, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I was told I need to step off.
I see that. Brian, he can't step off. The only, that's the right-hand man right there. Like, he can't step off. All right, so we're going to get into the show. We got some great guests, like I said, Jensen Karp, a.k.a. Hot Carl. He's going to be on. We're going to talk about his life, an amazing book. Kanye West owes me $300 and other stories of a white rapper who almost made it famous. Eric, thank you. The chain is fire. I agree. And then a guy who I've really become a fan of over the last 2-3 years. You know, you want to talk about hustle, and I'm not talking about what he does outside of my show because the only thing I really care about is me. But this guy, his team sent me music every day, slid me music into an email account that they got from me. They sent me music every day for 3 years straight. Like every day. Bobby J from Rockaway. Anything he did. If he was at a barbecue with his mom and he freestyled, I got a tape. If he went to Pier 92 in my old neighborhood and beat up an Irish dude and then freestyled about it, I got a tape. Tenacity. And then next thing I know, he's doing records with this one. He's doing records with Static Selecta. And then he puts out this EP that's just brilliant. Bobby J from Rockaway is going to perform later on tonight. We love talent. What we don't love right now, as we all know, is, dare I say, the bullshit that's going on in this country. The bullshit that is taking over. And we're going to talk about all of that. And, you know, my wife made a very interesting comment to me, and I have to agree with her. I'm extremely opinionated, but I am not a political pundit, if you will. I'm not a political news reporter. I'm not trying to be, whoever comes to mind. George Stephanopoulos. I'm not that guy. I'm just a really pissed off dude who doesn't like the way shit is going down. Is that fair enough? I think that's fair enough. I'm just a pissed off dude. You know, I just realized something. I'm going to do something real quick. I'll be right back. You guys are going to get a little taste of behind the scenes real quick. I just realized something also that's also giving me a little bit of a distraction. That could be it too. That might make my sexy a little sexier. I like that.
It got darker.
It's a little sexier. I need to work on the light. It's fine.
This is like when
light
meth
was bothering me. There was a shade on my face. I didn't like it.
This is like when meth was in his bat.
Is that too dark? I'll fix it later.
It's a little dark.
It's a little dark, right? I'll fix it. You know what? Behind the scenes, once again. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's fix that. This is all your fault, Pumice.
Oh, I love when it's my fault. And he can't even hear me right now. I can't defend myself.
Children will be children.
I bet you Howard Stern didn't have these problems. That's all I'm saying. He had Delabate, he had Grillo, he had Fafa Fohai. He had all these dudes.
But in Howard Stern tradition, you're still like, I'm the horse that gets beaten. Yes. 2,000 miles away, however far away I am, and
you're
it's me.
catching up, and you deserve every lump you catch in your face right now. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, man, I'm not and the reason is honestly, I don't do enough research. I'm really busy. It's not an excuse. I do watch the news, but when I want to report on something, I don't really tackle it the way I should. So I want to apologize for not really attacking the news the way I should. And I do want to talk about something that I did find some research on, and I did actually do my homework on. And it's about the statues, the toppling of the statues. These men and women in the country who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. These men and women have decided that enough is enough. And what they have decided to do essentially is tear down every statue that represents the Confederacy, that represents anyone who has slavery in their background. We're talking about George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. The one that was really interesting to me, and I think I sent you I don't know if you cut and pasted it, Pumice. I wouldn't be mad if you did or you didn't. The one that was interesting was Sunday morning, Trump was quoted as saying we were tearing down the beautiful statues. Beautiful statues are being torn down. Our beautiful, beloved statues. Some dumb shit that this dumbass president says. Donald, I promise I will read your comments. Okay? Thank you, Donald. And Calgary is yes, again in the spot. So Rahm Emanuel, the good gentleman from Illinois, made a very interesting comment, and I want to talk about it. And he said that in regards to President Grant's statue being torn down, that he was conflicted. And the reason he was conflicted was as follows. He said, and I quote, or paraphrase, I can't quote. See, honey, I'm learning, baby. He said, as a paraphrase, that President Grant, Ulysses S. Grant, passed a law, I think it was called either Chapter 11 or State Law 11, not Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and it was basically anti-Semitic. And in finding out that it was anti-Semitic, what he did is he not only put Jews on his cabinet and erased this 11 thing that he created, but he was the first president to visit a synagogue. He also almost eliminated, he went after and imprisoned members of the KKK and made it illegal to be part of the KKK. And the KKK didn't come back into the United States and didn't resurface till 1920. So while he did do bad shit, he also did good shit, right? He's not perfect. And then he mentioned FDR. FDR, great president, saved us World War II, all of that. But also Japanese internment camps, also known as Japanese concentration camps in the U.S., didn't allow the St. Louis boat in 1938 to hit the shores here, causing Europeans their lives, and had information and could have saved millions of Jews at Auschwitz and didn't do that, but is still revered as a great president. So we can't whitewash, we can't white out our history. And I found that compelling. I found that to be a compelling argument. I found that to be like, okay, that makes sense. My counter to that, and I'd love to know what you guys think, is okay, if a guy's imperfect, then don't give his highlights, like General Ulysses Grant. His statue talked about the time he was a general, time he fought, and his presidency. Put all the shit. Make it fucking 400 feet tall, but make sure all the information, good, bad, or indifferent, is on there. Don't make it about the Confederacy. Don't make it about North, South. If you want to be balanced, be balanced. FDR could have saved people in Auschwitz. Gets the gas face. However, was brave enough, was bold enough, was on point enough to turn back the Japanese and, whatever. See, this is the whole thing of me going back and not knowing about shit. But the point is that if these statues only have one aspect of our history, and that aspect of the history is negative, is detrimental to other men and women and their history in this country, tear that fucker down. Tear it down. But if we're going to build monuments in this country to presidents, then we need to put all of the pertinent information. If you want us to know the history, know everything. And let me say something that might be seen as critical, might be seen as controversial. There were just as many black people killed when Obama was president. In fact, there was a period of time where there was close to 400 men of color killed during Obama's presidency. He didn't do shit either. Think about it. It hasn't changed. Bush, Clinton, right? Clinton, the first black president, right? Plays sax on Arsenio Hall. People getting killed left and right. This has been a consistent problem. Hold everybody's feet to the fucking fire. Obama's not the great savior because he was the first black president. Obama's just the black president. And Obama didn't do shit either. He could be upset. He could be sad. He didn't defund the police. He didn't defragment the police. He didn't change how the police learned about conflict resolution. He didn't change a single law when it came to governing the police. Now, Trump is 10 times worse than Obama. A million billion times worse.
I don't think you can measure.
No, it's an infinite amount worse. Obama's not a liar. This guy is. Obama didn't have one person in his cabinet ever quit, nor get in. There was nothing. There was not a single case against anyone in his cabinet in 8 years. 8 days in, this guy had fucking cases. He was a liar from the time his guys talked about this was the greatest, biggest audience in the history of an inauguration. And it was fucking empty. So please, understand what I'm saying. If we're going to tear down these monuments, understand why we're tearing them down. And we're tearing them down for a very simple reason. We are tearing them down because the history of those statues is incomplete. And all it talks about and all it shows is the negative. No one, no political leader ever in this country was perfect. And we don't expect them to be. But if we are going to monumentalize them, then let me understand the whole history, good, bad, or indifferent. Fair?
I think that makes sense.
I think that it feels like it makes sense to me. Anyway, we got a great show, like I said. Give us a call. I'd like to see if the phones work. My mic doesn't work. I got an echo. I'd like to see if the phones work. 5614 hip hop. It's the greatest phone number ever. I love you for that, bro.
You're welcome.
5614 hip hop. 561-444.
You know Sean will call.
7467. You know, it's fine. I don't really mind that we have a couple of diehards. I love that. I think we should have diehards. By the way, speaking of diehards, did you give Jensen the information?
Yeah, he has
to get in
everything
here?
he needs. Yeah.
All right, okay. I just want to make sure because he's coming up in like 3 minutes. Also, just want to let you know the show is brought to you by Mask. Mask is the only company out there right now with a NIOSH N95 mask that actually kills 98% of the viruses, including COVID. It has a patented 4-ply layer. The second ply inactivates, deactivates, and destroys coronavirus and other viruses like influenza. If you want masks for you and your family, if you want to protect you and your family, go to n95maskco.com. Use the code SEARCH for 10% off. All right. I want to thank you, Mask, for being a sponsor. Getting a lot of calls about sponsorship, and I gotta hire a general sales manager at this point. I gotta hire a general sales manager. I gotta hire a sales
You're juggling
director.
a lot of different things at once.
Yeah. So are you. And I give kudos to you. We had a great meeting at Sony yesterday. Shout out to our new partners at the Orchard and Sony. You might want to give them gunshots or an applause sound effect guy, or thank you. 21 gun salute. We're going to blow shit up at Sony. So moving forward, we're going to have a great podcast company. The Timeless Podcast Company will be in partnership with The Orchard and Sony. So shout out to Wendy and shout out to Emily and Tim and Tom and the whole team over there. Thank you for making us a part of your family. We got to see the platform early on. It's amazing. There's a lot of great shows that are already going to be up there from around the world. Sony Italy, Germany, some great podcasts. So I would suggest that you check it out when they launch. Also had a really interesting call today. Did I see Lord Jamar talk about how he feels about Black Lives Matter? No, I did not. I assume I know how he feels about Black Lives Matter. But no, I did not see that. Sean, I didn't.
I wonder if he feels strongly. Because if I'm not mistaken, he is
he is a brother.
It's not just that. He feels very strongly about a lot of things.
Well, you know what the one thing is, and I have to agree with him, the white man is a guest in hip hop, period. This is not our culture. We didn't start it like anything else. We adapted it from Black and Caribbean culture from the Bronx because we are the largest group of the largest populace. He said, he said white people are guests. So Sean says that Lord Jamar said he's not down with it. We'll have to get Lord Jamar on the show and talk to him about that. Also, a lot of requests about getting Rakim on the show. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll try. Who is the one that you wanted me to get on? Vanilla Ice? Is that the one that you said too?
Yeah,
I should interview Vanilla Ice.
Yeah, I think so. I just don't know how civilized it could be. I'd like it to be.
It's not about civilized or not. I don't know where that conversation is going to go. I don't even know why I would entertain that conversation.
Well,
what is? Give me, if you can, give me the idea. Give me your idea.
I guess
I'm
curious.
Jensen and see if
he's on. He's on. He's waiting.
Oh, good. That's fine. Good.
I guess my curiosity is, how did Vanilla Ice feel about you guys dissing him?
Come on, man.
Well, maybe he thought it was funny. You know how there's the kid you pick on that's like takes it and thinks it's funny.
No.
Well,
he obviously hated it. He hated it. We killed his career.
I think he did that on his own.
The kid's career. I think we pushed him over the edge. But you know what's amazing? He's had a second career. You know, Adam Sandler adopted him. He did 5 movies with Adam Sandler. In one movie, he said he was a pretty good rapper. Anyway, speaking of pretty good rappers, well, exceptional rappers, actually. Exceptional. We have, this could be the White Rapper Show right now. Another version of it. This is a dear friend. I met him, 20 years ago. I got a call. He was doing his album. He was signed to Interscope. And he asked me to be on a record with him. I was very honored. I came into the lab. I was shook a little bit. We sat down. He rhymed. I rhymed. We made a record. It was great. I had fun. We shot a video. I had a photo shoot. And he's gone on to do amazing things. Ladies and gentlemen, to talk about all things Jensen Karp, all things Hot Carl, Jensen Karp.
Whoa, that is a very weird. No, let me fix this.
Is your son drooling on that on his first birthday? Is that what your son was doing?
Look like I'm underwater.
Yeah. By the way, Mazel Tov on
Thank
your
you.
son's first birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, he turned 1 today.
In the words of Luca Brasi, I am glad you had a masculine child.
I mean, let's hope it's. I mean, at 1 year old, it's just it's a mound of flesh.
As we call it, a schmeckle.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's a schmeckle.
He seems very masculine.
But I appreciate Danielle allowing you to do this for me today.
No, she's a huge Serch fan, so don't worry about that.
I'm a huge Danielle fan. We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
What I love about you, and what I really appreciate about you, is you started off as a battle MC.
I did.
Talk to me about the very dangerous, very archaic Beverly Hills battle scene of
Listen,
the late 1990s.
I mean, the late 1990s, I can't brag about as much as I can the early 1990s when. The early 1990s, when I was too young to really participate, you had great guys like Exhibit, and you had Will 1X, and you had some people who were killing it. Once you got into my era of LA battling, it wasn't as impressive. I mean, the game was in there every once in a while. There were guys who were pretty good, but if you wanted to be anything, you pretty much had to go up against the Rhyme Sayers guys out in Minnesota, or the Juice in I guess Ohio or Chicago. There were guys, M obviously. There were guys that were really good, but LA, I mean, listen, we weren't as hot as we were in the early 90s. No.
But you did have the Rap Olympics, where
did.
M was discovered.
That's right.
Were you ever a part of the Rap Olympics?
No, I mean, the things that I did do the prelims for the Blaze battle. And I went kind of far there. I think I ended up going up against Mers or somebody, and I was like, oh, I don't want to beat Mers. Mers was very scary at that time.
Big guy.
He was scary at the time. I mean, look at me. I'm like an accountant. And then I think I did Scribble Jam out here, the LA wing or whatever it was, but I never did Rap Olympics. It was by the time I think I was really into battling, the roll call kind of put me into orbit. Like I didn't really have to do anymore, which was very lucky that LA radio was so popping.
And we'll get to that. But the other thing I find really interesting is very similar to me. When I went to high school, I was fortunate enough, because I was in New York, that I went with some very talented people. I went to school with Slick Rick. I went to school with Dana Dane, Jay Cool from the Fresh 3 MCs, but also Changing Faces, Jennifer Aniston,
Crazy.
Chastity Bono. There's a lot of really cool people. You went to school, Mike Shinoda. I mean, there was a lot of very talented people that went to your high school. Did you see, again, I was very lucky that the Kango crew was doing Lottie Dottie in 1980 before the record ever came out, right? So, like, it was obvious to me, like Helen Keller could see and hear that Slick Rick and Dana Dane were going to be legends.
Yeah.
Was it very similar for you when Mike was doing his thing in Chester, God bless the dead, and they were kind of doing this similar thing?
Sort of. I mean, Chester came later, so Chester's out of Florida, so we had not known him.
Oh, okay.
But all of Lincoln Park came out of Agoura or Calabasas, which are the sister schools that we came from. Mike was a rapper really at the time, and so I knew him as a rapper, and I knew he was good. But I think even Mike would say he wasn't the chosen one that early. I think because our high school had Incubus in it, and they were the chosen one from day one. They were always the big high school band. They were always going to get a record deal. I think that everyone was compared to Incubus, which was difficult because I was a rapper and, there wasn't a whole lot of room for me. But I think 4 or 5 bands got signed out of our high school that year because of Incubus. So you had Incubus, Lincoln Park, Hoobastank, which no one's bragging about in 2020, but they came out of our high school.
No, they were dope though. They were dope.
They have that song.
Right.
And then a group
that
called
song, which is exactly what it's called. That song. And correct me if I'm wrong. Hoobastank was Incubus's younger brother, right? Or
that's another band. That's called. They also signed called Audio Event.
Audio Event.
Event. They also signed out of our high school, so it was a hotbed for that scene. Right. Incubus cleared the way for 5 or 6 bands to get deals, and then you had me getting a rap deal that year as well, which was around 2000. So there was a lot of music out of those few years, and our school also had a ton of actors and actresses. Similar to what was going on with you, but as far as hip hop, it was really just me. Oh, that's not true. There was one other guy who right now is having a moment.
And
Ali Alimi is his name. He goes by Abnormal or Alibaba. And right now he's having a crazy moment because the meme of Hip Hop Harry that's going everywhere is him. He was the voice of Hip Hop Harry, but he's also a great MC. And then we were the only 2 rappers in our whole I guess city.
Moshe Kasher put me up on Alibaba. I shout out to that kid. He's dope.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about LA radio because as a New Yorker who didn't have great radio in New York, going to LA was always such an amazing thing because of K-Day. because of 92.3 The Beat and because of Power.
Yep.
And the Baker Boys, who
Yep.
really, I mean, I remember going to see the Baker Boys not only with my own records, but with Nas and with OC. And every time I landed, they were playing me shit that, you know, they played me the early Snoop demos. They played me the early Exhibit demos. They played me the 213 demo with Warren G and Snoop and Nate, may he rest in peace. They always had all this, you know, they played me Outcast, Oh Your Hands in the Air. And like they just knew everything was going on, knew everything was going to be popping. And then I started hearing about this kid, Hot Carl. And I'll never forget, Nick V calls me and he says, yo, we were going to play golf. I remember exactly what this is. We were going to play golf. And he says, yo, we got this kid. Like, he's fucking ridiculous. His name is Hot Carl. Like, he's won like a month in a row.
Yeah. And this
I'm
is
like-
and by the way, just so you know, this is weeks into me calling you my idol on the radio.
Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know that because you know what? Nick was such a cocksucker. He didn't even tell me that.
I said it all the time on air.
And I love that. And I mean, that's family. Like Nick
Yeah.
and Eric and Frank, may he rest in peace. Like that's family. Like that's family for me. So they're telling me all about you. I'm sorry, my daughter's blowing up my phone. They're telling me all about you. And the first thing I'm thinking in my head is, okay, great. This is another natural. This is another, you know, Craig G. This is another great MC off the top of the head. Can't write a record, save his life. He's not going to be able to write a record. And then I get a call from DJ Moore Meal and this kid, Triple H.
Yep.
And they're like, we want you to come to LA and do a record with Hot Carl. And the first thing in my head is, why isn't Eric and Nick calling me?
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I'm like, so I always wondered, like, because I know they always wanted to sign people. Did they ever say, you know, we put you on, we're going to sign you, you know, la, la, la.
Yeah, I talk about it in the book a little bit, and it's, you know, it's one of the kind of career regrets that I have. Is it's kind of a weird thing because they had put this management contract in front of me at one of the battles, like at one of the roll call days, and I signed it willing. I was like thrilled. I was like, the Baker Boys are my heroes. I had grown up listening to them. I had tried to do the roll call when I was like 11. Like this was. I'm now in college and I'm winning every day. So this was thrilling. I knew they knew everyone, like you said. I mean, they introduced me to Missy on like day 3 or something. And I was thrilled to sign with them. They were managed by another company on Sunset, and I had went to meet with them. So they were going to like co-manage me, and I was really down for it. And the only other person I remembered that they managed at the time, they managed Earthquake, the comedian. And they managed Jennifer Beals from Flashdance. That was the only 2 people I remember from that meeting.
Such a diverse management.
I mean, I'm right in
company.
between the two. I'm right in between Jennifer Beals and Earthquake. I was like, perfect.
Right.
This is where I sit.
This is exactly where I land.
Yeah. And so so then a bunch of other people had tried to manage me. One of them being Adrian Miller, who has went on to do Anderson .Paak later in life. And I was thrilled about Eric and Nick. That was kind of what I wanted to do. And when Interscope started to show some interest in me, and Jimmy Iovine was like, come to my house and all that stuff, I had a conversation with Nick V from USC and was like, can we do this? I mean, like Earthquake and Jennifer Beals did not do it for me. It didn't do it for you. Like, this is kind of a weird thing. And Nick at the time was like, this might be bigger than us, you know? And so I listened to that and was like, okay, well, I'll move on, whatever. And they were fine with it at the time. And then I think when I signed the Jimmy Iovine deal, they were looking for, I mean, listen, remember, I'm 20 years old. I was at USC, so I had no idea what the business was like, truly no clue. And so when I signed the Interscope deal, I think they were looking for a bit of a handout of money. And I probably now at 40 years old would have been like, well, how can we include you? Like, what can we do? And when they didn't get money kind of right off the bat, they soured to me. And I don't really know. I mean, I never spoke with them again. So I don't really know what else could have happened. I didn't do anything else to them. So looking back, I've called them a few times over the years to try to mend that bridge, and they haven't necessarily been open to it. And it's a bummer for me because I love those guys. I still talk to Jay Grand. I don't know if you know.
Of course, I know. Jay.
He's one of the greatest.
Yeah.
And so, Jay Grant's sort of been like, don't worry about it, man. Like he's tried to keep
Well,
me.
he'll always. Jay Grant is the famous "Don't worry about it, man." Guy.
Yeah, I
Like,
love him, and he
yeah.
still works with them. He's still involved in DJ Skis Radio and all those things out here in LA. And I love him, and I love those guys, and I always will, even if it's not reciprocated. It's not important to me. I love them, and will always try to work it out with them if they'd like to. If not, I also respect that. So
Yeah. The
but
one
listen,
thing go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, I'm just gonna say it's not like I'm Eminem. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like you missed out too much, Eric and Nick. Don't worry
Right.
about it.
Well, the thing is, at the time, it really felt like they were going to miss out. And I'll tell you, the one thing I know about Nick and Eric is Nick is sensible, Eric is emotional, and Frank at the time was the middle, right?
I like
so
Frank,
Nick was always the one who was like, "All right, let's talk about it." Eric was always the one that was like, "Fuck you, do you know who we are?"
Yeah.
And Frank was the middle that was like, "Let's kind of relax while you know who the fuck we are."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I love those guys, and I listen to them still on Dash Radio, and I think they have a great show.
Yeah, I know
But
they were even
there was-
when I was on K Rock, they were even doing some things over at Intercom, and I was excited for them. I truly have never. Again, at 19 years old, I'm now 40. At 19 years old, you're just sort of like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah,
so.
no, and I couldn't listen. I remember signing with Tony D.
Yeah.
He put a contract in front of me. I signed it that gave him. I think if he wanted my firstborn, he was entitled to it.
Yeah.
Like I gave him power of signature. Like he could give away a kidney. Like I was 18 and so happy to be down that I didn't realize what I had signed until it was really time for Def Jam to step in. And, so I totally get it. But
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember going to LA and that you were the buzz. You were the shit. Steve Stout is telling me, yo, this kid's about to be bigger than Eminem.
Yeah.
Yada, da, 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 da. All of this. Glaciers of Ice. Fun fact. First iTunes song I ever bought in 2005 was Hot Carl Serch collab Let's Talk.
Good song still.
A great song.
Holds
and by
up.
the way, let me tell you something. And we'll talk about this because I did a demo with Miss Free. And we'll talk about her mention in that record and how she feels about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I come out to LA, I run some errands, yada yada da. I go to the studio. DJ's there, 3H is there, you're there. And I feel incredibly self-conscious.
Why is that? You've said this before.
I felt incredibly self-conscious because I felt underprepared. I felt really nervous.
But you knew the kid who's paying. Like, you knew the kid. I forced Interscope to pay you. Like you were my idol.
It wasn't even, but that was the whole thing. It wasn't even about getting paid.
No,
like,
I know.
10 grand was great. I
thought
10 grand was great. I wasn't mad at the 10 grand.
I just meant like you were walking into a kid who idolized you.
Yeah, but that was the whole point. That was the thing that I was scared of because I thought the expectation was going to be too high. And I thought that for sure, no matter what I did, I was going to let you down. Like no matter how. And I remember like, okay, I need to find my zone. And I'm looking in the studio and 3H is on the phone and he's trying to show me pictures of people wearing his 3H chain.
So dumb.
And DJ's trying, and you're just like really cool. And I remember sitting on I remember the studio had a step, right? There was some steps.
Yeah,
and
I'm trying to think.
down.
Trying to think where we were. I have it on video, by the way. I have us rapping on video.
Oh, I need to see that.
Yeah,
I sit down on these steps, and you're like, okay, how do you want to do this? Do you want to freestyle? We can freestyle. Do you want to do? I said, yo, just give me a second, just please. And right then and there, the first thing that ran in my mind, I need to get out of here.
Really? Because you were with Twin,
back.
by the way. You know that, right? You were with Twin. Remember that?
Right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, I need to just. It's time to leave. This is already bad. I'm gonna let everybody down. My man Bijan was there.
Yeah,
I need to just leave.
Right.
And after that moment, like literally from that moment, we wrote, let's get this cheddar. And you said, but I think I'm lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
And from that moment, that shit rolled.
Yeah. Went
And
fast.
it was fucking great.
Yeah, it went fast.
And it was just so you know, if you think about it, because it's true, it's the only time I've ever done a feature on a major label ever.
Trust me, I know that was part of what I mean, that was what I was fighting for. Trust me, I know.
So we do the record. I remember we went to Steve Stout's office in New York to shoot the cover.
With everyone's famous rapper.
Everyone's favorite rapper,
Kanye West,
and Jonathan Mannion.
Yeah, but do you remember? Do you remember
Yes.
Kanye? Yeah,
yes,
okay.
I do.
Yeah,
because the one thing about Kanye being there was he was really proud of the fact that he was going to be on DJ Enough's mixtape saying breastises and Lexuses.
I remember that conversation.
He was so fucking proud of that line.
He was so weird. Yeah,
he was like, Serch, I just kicked the craziest shit, Serch. Listen to what I kicked. And then he said, I said breastises and Lexuses.
Yeah, he was weird. I remember
God
that
bless
day.
him. Listen,
remember Kanye and I stole the Steve Stout action figure. Do you remember that?
I didn't know.
So Steve Stout had an action figure in his office because Steve Stout let us shoot in his office, and Kanye was like, "I'm gonna take this," and I was like, "I think that's a very bad idea, Kanye." I mean, because Kanye was like trying to get beats at Interscope, like he was not Kanye who you know today, and I was like, "Kanye, I don't think that's a very good idea."
Right.
And then for years, Kanye had that Steve Stout action figure in his office, in his studio, and I don't know where it is now, but yeah, Kanye that day. Backpack whole nine, like was dressed as that like pink polo kid.
Yeah, no, and that's who he was.
Yeah, and he came to say hello.
And he was always that kid. He was at Fat Beats every Thursday for new record.
Yeah,
new record releases. Him and Peter, who was his manager at the time. So everything's lined up for you.
Yeah,
and then
nothing.
but then the hip hop interweb, what I love to call at the time, because we didn't have the internet. So I used to call it the super subway.
Yeah.
Instead of the web, it was the super subway. We start hearing, oh, M killed the deal.
Yeah.
M killed the deal. He heard the record. He told Jimmy, this kid can never come out. There's only one white boy allowed to be signed to Interscope, which, by the way, until 2008 was actually a mandate at every label.
Yeah,
you could only have one.
There
could only be one.
I know, it was a thing, man.
It was a thing, and it got broken by Action Bronson and Mac Miller.
Yeah.
In 2009. After that, it became a literal free for all. As many white people as possible have tons.
By the way,
minion, if you will.
For the record, when we were going around looking at deals, eventually people were like, well, Atlantic has apathy. It was like we couldn't go shop. We couldn't go shop there.
When I brought nonfiction to David Geffen and Wendy Goldstein, they said, we're signing you because you're not a solo artist. You're a group.
They already had that. Yeah.
You're a group.
So weird.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was insane.
But you know what? I'll say this wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I was the first one to believe that shit. Like, yo, forget about one at every label. Yeah. I was the only one. Yeah. Fuck a Milkbone. Fuck a Jesse Pellegrino. Fuck a Jesse James. Fuck his NetJets. Yeah. Fuck his Spanx. Fuck all of that.
Whatever basketball team.
Right, whatever basketball team. Fuck the Knicks.
Yeah.
Yo, there's no white rappers. Like none of y'all are allowed to. No, it's me. And when I die, then you can have the playing field.
I know it. It was a thing.
So coming to you and doing that with you was almost like me breaking my own edict, right? So, but I was excited because the record was so dope.
C- production also.
Yeah, and and my dear friend, and I love C-. It was just great.
Yeah.
And then there's the rumors. Eminem killed the deal.
Yeah.
You got a lot of money. Eminem killed the deal. Is there any truth to that? Did Eminem kill the deal?
I've been told, number one, I would never think it's Eminem direct. That was my feeling from the beginning, is that if it was Rosenberg or something like that. I mean, I've never expected it. Bubba Sparks had sort of not emailed me at the time, two-wayed me at the time, and sort of hinted that he was getting the same treatment. Is that Ugly was this hit, and man, the world was his oyster. I remember going to get a haircut with Bubba when he was in town, and we were pretty close. And Rose McGowan came up to us and was like, "I just saw you riding a pig." Like his whole world was becoming, he was going to go into space. He was sort of the after Eminem. You know what I mean? Like he was sort of going to be the next guy.
Well, technically, he was Timbaland's Eminem.
Yeah, I mean,
Dre had M.
Yeah, and Timbaland had him. And what
Bubba.
better in that year? What better person could you have, really, truthfully? And Bubba had started to give me the whispers that he heard it was going on with him, and he was like, "And I've heard it's going on with you." Like that was kind of the first I had heard of it, and I had heard from other people like Demiza. I had heard from a bunch of people just kind of coming out of the woodwork to be like, "Dude, I normally wouldn't say these kind of things, but I like you so much, and I feel like they're shelving you." And we've heard these rumors. Same thing you had heard. It was just like these rumors going around, and I've never necessarily been told, "Hey, this is what happened," but I got a call that was like, "Hey, we don't think we can put out your record because of scheduling conflicts," which is like an amazing sentence that could have been anything. But yeah, I mean, me and Bubba kind of ran into the same thing, and at that point, Bubba wanted to keep rapping, and I said to myself, that wasn't for me. I think when I look back and I look at Kanye or will.i.am, guys I came up with, and I see what they went through to get to the millionaire, billionaire points they are now, I never had that. Like I was, I liked writing, I liked those things, but as far as saying that I had the fire inside me that those guys had, I just didn't. And I think that I heard that, that dead end for me, and I made a U-turn and just went on a different road. But as far as why it happened, it would appear that something regarding Eminem, scheduling and the idea that we came from the same label and the kind of weird edict that we all had at the time that there can only be one white guy, that seemed like what happened.
So one of the things I will share with you that I've never shared with you is one of the things that I did was independent radio promotion.
I remember it well. You were pretty big in it, man.
Correct. And we were going to work that record.
Yeah.
Because it was the first single. And I got a call that they were pulling the budgets.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a reason why. But then 2 weeks later, we worked an M record.
Yeah. That's what happened also, is that dates wise, obviously an M record came on right after I was supposed to drop, and you were getting a budget, as were a couple people, but I remember you getting a budget because we were really going to push hard at college radio.
Correct.
Clearly you were on it, that, you had that history in promoting that. I think also, I also think Frank was getting a budget for the record.
Correct.
So I think a handful of you kind of guys the heavyweights, guys who were really good in hip hop radio were going to break it. And that was, it was really a 2-week thing of, like you said, it was like, we're not going to have a budget. And they, by the way, they never dropped me. That was always the weird thing too, is that they made me kind of go in there and ask for my release, which was fine. And Jimmy was very sweet. And, I got a publishing deal that I can never pretend I'm not thankful for.
Right.
And so all those things that happened to me were part of my journey, but yes, it was very weird, and I wasn't alone, which was a feeling as well, that Bubba had the same kind of experience. And that second Bubba record to me is phenomenal, better than good. And Interscope put no money in it.
Yeah. And then you kind of, I remember checking in on you. I hit you on your two-way.
Yep.
You said, yeah, I'm good. I need a minute.
Yeah.
And then you went underground. Like,
yeah.
I tried to reach out to you for years.
Yeah.
And heard nothing. What was that like for you? I mean, did you feel alone? Did you feel?
Yeah. I talk about it a bit in the book. And after Interscope, I really kind of hibernated to just catch myself. I also don't think I really was who I wanted to be. The song we made was very much my feelings. I was a rap battler. I was an underground MC. And then, 4 months later, I'm begging Fred Durst to be on a song with me. And I'm like, who am I becoming?
Right.
This is a terrible feeling, but yet I wanted to work the industry. I wanted to work Interscope. I knew that getting Durst on a song would have meant a lot, but it wasn't me. That wasn't who I was. Even getting Sugar Ray on a song, which I ended up getting, nice guys, great dudes, but Homicide obviously had a ton of hip hop cred with the Alcoholics and such. And, if you know Mark McGrath, you can't say a bad word about him, but it was like, that wasn't where I came from. That wasn't what I wanted to do. But the industry started to sort of, and correctly, it started to make me want to be big and famous, because that's the only way you're getting that record out. And I just didn't like myself. This isn't what I want to be. And I became very nervous about the publishing deal because it was so much money. And
It
there
was
was
a lot of money. What was it, like $3 million?
it was $1 million, yeah,
It was $1 million.
on
Wow.
top of the record deal, which was already like 750, 800. So it was
Wow,
like
good for you.
I was just like this, but also it gives you so much nerves because when you really start looking at that contract, it's like they can ask for it back. They don't, but they can.
Right.
And that's kind of a blessing in the industry that it's not something that's ever really pulled unless you're just a total prick about it.
Yeah.
And I was just nervous, and so I just hid for a while because I didn't want them calling me. And then eventually, this guy Eddie Bezalel, who went on to manage Twin Shadow, I think, he ran a label called BBE, Barely Breaking Even, which put out Pete Rock records and Jay Dilla records and did some really great stuff in the early 2000s. And he asked me, he was like, it's like he believed in me more than I did. He was like, there's going to be a year in the 2000s when everyone looks like you and sounds like you. And he like predicted G-Eazy before it happened. Like he just knew, he knew Little Dicky was coming. He knew Asher Roth was coming. He just was like, you were the first guy to do it. And I want to put out the record that you never were able to. And he did. And I was just over it. I was already broken. I was already hurt. And I had already went through this once. And by the time he got me, I was just jaded out of my mind, and I started to deal with some OCD that I had, and that was not a good ending for me in the rap industry. And it wasn't on them; it was on me. I broke down. They had me do a spring break show in Jamaica, and I just had to be flown home. I was just in a very bad place, and it was after that I realized that I have to regroup, and that was where sort of my comedy writing came back.
So now, at that time, when you talk about the OCD and you talk about like having those challenges and trying to figure yourself out,
Yeah.
you also kind of get this artistic twinge to not only become a comedy writer, but also to experiment in the gallery scene.
Yeah.
And take a very unique twist, which now, funny enough, is a mainstream twist on galleries around the country, which is these, almost Comic-Con, anime, joke, pop culture galleries, and Gallery 1988 is born.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that
Yeah.
genesis? Because
I like I said, that publishing deal was a lot, and I had a money manager at the time, and he was like, "You can't just buy comic books and video games. We got to do something with this because in 10 years you're gonna hate yourself." And so I listened to him, and he was like, "What about a business? Is there ever a business you were thinking about?" And at the time, I had a friend from USC where I graduated college who was working at an art gallery, and I had taken Kanye there when Kanye wasn't famous. But Kanye was an art student, and a lot of people don't talk about his skills in art, which is weird because he's a very good drawer and painter. And they treated Kanye terribly at the gallery. And I thought it was weird. I had known Kanye was going to blow up, not as a rapper, but as a producer. And I figured he was the next Just Blaze. And I knew Just Blaze bought things every day. So I was like thinking to myself, you're screwing yourself to this art gallery in my mind. I'm like, this dude's going to be huge and he's going to buy art. And you just treated him like crap because you don't think he has money. And it just made me think, like, I was friends with DJ AM at the time, and AM was spending $500 on sneakers and about to become the biggest DJ in the world. But in his house, he had like $10 posters. And between Kanye and AM, I just thought there's got to be a art gallery that can really focus on them, like really get pop culture about it and have the right price points. And so me and my friend from USC created an art gallery with no knowledge in anything, but we knew what we'd purchase, and we knew that artists who used to be influenced by Rothko and Picasso are now influenced by Nintendo and Sega. It's just a different universe. And so we encouraged artists to do that. And now it's been 17 years that the gallery's been on Melrose. And, it's become, like you said, it was the only one of its type in 2003 or whatever. And now it's a stale. I mean, it's almost stale at this point, how many people have created art galleries based on pop culture. So it's become a tradition within the scene. And like you said, Comic-Con became a bigger thing, and Instagram wasn't even around back then. So all of those things made it much easier to make a painting based on Tarantino films. And that's what we've been built on for almost 2 decades.
And I'm very, very blessed to have a couple of your pieces in my house as well.
Thank
Let's kind of pivot also and talk about your comedy career, because
Yeah.
one of the things I love is that you utilized your talent of emceeing in writing comedy.
Yeah.
But again, it's really about who you know, right? So how did you get in where you fit in, so to speak, and find that lane for yourself?
Yeah, well, because of the art gallery, like these places saw that we had lines for like 3 hours to get into like an art show. And so companies started to come to us on a marketing tip and be like, what can I do to get my brand involved in that? Which makes total sense. And Disney started to put us on payroll and a bunch of companies. And one of the companies that was interested in working with me was ABC Television. And they wanted to do something. And I became a huge fan of the TV show Lost. And I had pitched an idea um, for Lost to have an art show for its final season. And I went in and talked to Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse, and both of them were like, not only are we invested in this idea, we are invested in you. We love you. Let's put you on staff for Lost. And I was like, this is insane. I went
Wow.
from being like an art gallery owner, and then they just really believed in me. And I still talk to Damon right now about once a week. And those guys became like mentors to me. And they would let me not only just like they'd let me sit in the office and like listen to what was happening on the final season of Lost. Like they incorporated me into the show's creation so that I could market it correctly. And ABC hired me because Damon and Carlton forced them to. And by the end of the campaign, I not only gave them the money back that they hired me with, I gave them like 200,000 extra dollars because I started selling things through this marketing campaign.
Wow.
And so during that campaign, one of the things that I wanted to do was integrate comedians into it. And one of the people that I wanted to integrate was Paul Scheer, who at the time was
Yeah.
just off this sketch show called Human Giant. He wasn't
Yep.
who he's become
Human
now.
Giant, right.
Yeah. And so Paul and I worked together writing comedy for this kind of marketing campaign that blew up and ended up making them a bunch of money. And Paul during it was like, you're like crazy funny. Like, and I was like, well, I went to school for, I did stand up during college, and Hawk Carl was funny to an extent. And he just encouraged me, and Scott Ackerman and all these guys who sort of came in and out of this Lost campaign just kept saying like, you should do this more. You should do this more. And so I just started to, fight my way through UCB and fight my way through different places. And because of that, I ended up in writers' rooms originally on Burning Love, which was a kind of a web series that ended up at E Entertainment. And since then, I've been on, I did 5 years at the ESPYs. I've done the Grammys. I did Sacha Baron Cohen's Who is America. I did Late Night with, the Late Late Show with James Corden, which got me my own TV show. And just I did the grind, man, just like hip hop, just like battling every day. I worked as hard as I could to get into those comedy rooms, and I didn't depend on Hot Carl. Most times I hid that I was Hot Carl. And then when it started to organically work its way, like for the MTV Awards one year, The Rock and Kevin Hart wanted a rap song, so I wrote that, and that went viral. And it started to find its way naturally into my comedy. Sacha Baron Cohen asked me to do some battle stuff. I did that, and then James Corden, I came up with an idea where celebrities rap battle. That became Drop the Mic, and that became its own show on Turner. So yes, it has become a thing where if you need a rap song at that point, you were coming to me. I don't think that's really what happens now. But naturally, I felt fine with it. I didn't feel like I was forcing its way into any of these writers' rooms. But I've done both rap stuff and non-rap, but it's been a blessing to be able to bring credible hip hop to it.
It's really so much fun. I had the pleasure of watching you on set when you came to Orlando and you shot at Universal. I harassed you. I don't have any qualms in saying I harassed you
Please.
to make you have me be on there too.
No, I
rhyme.
wanted you on there. Come on. I was going to say maybe harass me to hang out in Orlando. That maybe you did because we would have.
I think I harassed you, and I was
not
like,
to
Yo,
be
I want
on.
to be on the show. I want to be on the show.
No. That was not true.
Let's
Not
agree
true.
to disagree.
Not true.
But to watch like two people obviously taking your words, making it their own, and saying to the director, and I'll never forget this and we'll talk about your beautiful bride, Danielle, to your right, that was there. But literally you said, okay, that's a vibe. Let's move on. That's a vibe. Like, I'm like, oh shit, this is becoming fucking hip hop.
Yeah.
On a show that's hip hop, but is hit pop. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I wish people, I do wish there was a way to still watch them because because right now I guess they're working on streaming rights and stuff for it. But I mean, we had real hip hop battles. We had Chilla Jones there. We had Roan there. We had Dumbfounded. We had people who come through who really gave this thing a true hip hop battle scene. I mean, these people went at each other's throats.
It's exactly right. As much as you
Crazy.
had, as
Yeah.
much as you had, the pop stars and the female pop stars,
Yeah.
and urban artists, you had, MCs go hard
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. We
Um,
went big.
and as I lovingly will tell you, and I told you there, the white devil wins no battles.
Oh, I know.
The
I
white
know.
devil. Thank you to Method Man, because
Yeah.
the white devil will never win a battle.
No,
On
I
drop the
mean,
mic.
listen, there were some
Uh,
people there were some people who we had to get through, but I've always argued that Ashley Simpson beat Christina Milian. There were
that's
ones where
bullshit. That's
I
bullshit to Method Man. I'm
I
just telling
agree.
you, Method Man totally disagrees with you.
Yeah.
He was never going to let Ashley Simpson
Beat
beat
Christina
Christine.
Milian.
It's never, because why? The white
I
man
mean,
wins no
listen,
battle.
we let Method Man, just so everyone knows, we let Method Man actually pick the winner. There was
Oh, I
never a time I
know.
was in his
There was
ear,
no.
nothing. And by the way, if you put yourself in his ear, he picked the other person. So we always avoided trying to tell him who wins. And so it was up to him. And who's to argue with Method Man, truthfully? So that
He's
was
your hero. You wanted
you
him
and
on
him.
the show.
You and him are truthfully, they were like my two heroes. So it was like to be able to work with both you guys was like bonkers.
So I love this story because you married the quintessential princess of television.
I listen. I was not a fan of the show. We were friends in high school. She is everyone's favorite pop culture child star.
Everyone's,
I
without
know.
question.
I know.
But
I know.
what's so great about you, brother, what's so great is that through all of this, at the end of the day, you got the girl.
And I
And
honestly,
you have such a beautiful family.
we have a boy now. I
Because
know.
I mean, and so how did that I hate to say romance, it sounds
No, I
corny,
get
but
it.
how
No,
did
I get
that
it.
romance kind of
It's
come
funny
about?
because there's so little amounts of people who I feel like actually understand my journey, right? There's only a handful of you guys. And for you, it's like you're like a uncle. Like you've seen me from 18 years old to this point to 40. You know what I mean? So it's like that to me, hearing it from you, I know you get it. And the reason is that I had went through such ups and downs, not only professionally, but personally.
Yeah.
And I think that's
You had
why
some
I'm
very long dry spells, my brother.
exactly. And I think
Very
that's
long dry spells.
I think that's why I appreciate where I'm at right now so much. And one of those reasons is being able to find the love of my life and someone who had been there as a friend of mine since high school. We went to high school together, and I had known her as just a girl who missed a couple months every year because she was on some TV show, but I had never seen the show. I think I age out of it by like a year or two. And we were acquaintances in high school, and then when Hot Carl happened, I would see her either at LA clubs, and we would know each other. Hey, you went to high school together. We'd talk for a second, and then we would do radio. So like I was going out to promote myself at like Man Cow or something, and when they would say, "What high school did you go to? Where'd you grow up?" I go, "Calabasas." They go, "You know who we just had in here? Danielle Fisher." I go, "Oh, right." And then I'd email her and go, "Just missed you," and then she would do comedy stuff for me. I did a live read of Space Jam with Blake Griffin here in Los Angeles and DeAndre Jordan, where they played Jordan and Barkley, and she played Lola Bunny in it, and it was always like she did my podcast, and we kept in touch. Saw her at Comic-Con, all these things, and I needed some help at one point. She was going to school for therapy to become a therapist, and I called her and was like, "Hey, you're perfectly far away from me. I'm a good person. Here's my issue I'm going through," and she helped me then, and we both had relationships, and it was really truly, I never thought of her as more than a friend. That was why it's so beautiful, is that I actually respect women, believe it or not. And so I always was like, that person's really great. And then when you turn, when you get into your mid 30s, late 30s, you start to ask yourself, why is someone I like as a friend so much? Why have I never thought of them as more? Because you're so mature at that point. You're starting to find out what love actually is. You start to figure out you're not just trying to find the best thing. You're trying to find the best thing for you. And she and I had both sort of just gotten out of relationships a couple years before. And we started talking, and we wanted to go to a friend dinner, just hang out. And again, not thinking about anything other than just like catching up with a friend. And then I spoke at Oxford, which I love saying out loud. And when I was in England for Oxford, we would keep in touch and talk about this lunch thing we have when I get back. And then probably a week into that Oxford trip, we realized this is not a friend hangout. We realized we were, vibing and hanging and wanted to see each other. And then from there, it's been, over 3 years. We have a child. We got married. and all those things just based off, two people who had seen some sort. I mean, listen, her success is much different than mine, but we had seen a lot of entertainment success at an early age, and I think that we connected on that and similar, childhoods growing up in the same city. And she's just, she's the greatest person I've ever met, and I'm lucky, and the world appears to love her, just like I do, and that's even a bonus because they don't even know the best parts of her; they only know the TV parts.
Right.
And so I've been very lucky in that way, and I kicked out of my coverage clearly, and I'm fine with that. So have you. And so
yeah, I'm way
Yeah.
above that. Right.
listen, we're fine admitting it.
Hey, we're doing okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I it is. It's the ending. I feel like I feel like I deserve it, but it's also a great ending for me
Yeah,
from
but
that
it's
journey.
just the beginning, and the beautiful part, it's not even the ending. It's just the
No.
beginning. I mean, you have so much more coming on. You have your show,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about as well. I mean, look, we've been talking almost an hour, 15 minutes. I could talk to you for 3 hours, and I don't want to do that because I know I want you to spend the rest of the evening and your
Yeah.
son's first birthday with your beautiful bride. But I do want to go back to something that I talked to you briefly about.
Sure.
So when we wrote the Let's Talk record,
Yes.
the hottest show on TV was 106 in Park.
Yes.
It was AJ and Free.
Yeah, and my friend Jin. I was friendly with Jin. I mean, like, you can't figure out how big 106 in Park was without saying Jin at the time. I know.
Exactly right. Jim
Yeah.
was incredible. Signs to Rough Riders.
Yeah.
And gets karate chopped the fuck out of there.
Yes.
Which is terrible.
Similar to me. I
Um,
mean, same story, but go on.
Yeah, same story.
Yeah.
So there's a line in that record, and I said, you'll go to 106 in Park with Free Riding Your Jock.
Great line.
Because
All
there
you.
was also this whole thing about her hitting on Jay-Z.
Mhm.
And, so there was this so fast forward, LL's doing Rock the Bells radio.
Mhm.
I get a call from LL's people. They're like, look, we want you to audition to do the afternoon show, you and Free.
Whoa.
I was like, all right, cool. They're like, yo, can you call her and do a pre-interview and kind of get to know each other?
Because you at that point were Rock the Bells. You were all the interstitials.
I was the voice for,
Yeah.
I not only was doing all the voice before that, which was Backspin.
Oh,
I
right.
did all the voice stuff, and then I did all the interviews. So I
Yeah.
interviewed Cypress, and
I remember.
I interviewed, all that. So they were like, all right, we're going to transition this way. And Elle had all these great ideas. A lot of them he stole from me, but it is what it is. So, so we do the interview, and I call her and I said, hey, I want to talk to you, because she also did radio
Yeah.
in Boston, and she was part of the Funky Bunch with Marky Mark, and she was a dancer, and she had this amazing career, and I wanted to kind of pick her brain. And then in the middle of picking her brain, I said, I'm going to bring up some things that are personal to you, and then I'm going to bring up some things that are personal to me. And I said, I want to talk to you about the Funky Bunch, and I want to talk about your history in doing it. She was paralegal for an environmental law firm in Boston. I wanted to find out, so I did a little homework.
Sure.
I
Great.
said, but one of the things I want to tell you about is, I did this record with a rapper named Hot Carl.
Sure.
And in the middle of the record, I said, you're going to go to 106 in Park with Free Riding Your Jock.
And
I
it's
wanna
you. So people don't know the song. It's you telling me this incredible future that Hot Carl's going to see.
Right.
If I
That's
get rid of my
exactly
backpack roots.
Right. That's
Right.
exactly right. If you listen to me
Yes.
and you make the records I tell you to make, we're going to
Yeah.
go get this cheddar,
Yeah.
but you're lactose intolerant.
Yes.
Which is still one of the greatest fucking lines
Thank
ever
you.
be in hip hop.
Yes.
But so I say this to her, and just as I'm telling her why,
Right.
she goes, "Oh, you're a shock jock." And I said,
Mm.
No, I'm not a shock jock. She goes, No, you're a shock jock. You're trying. I said, No. So I saw my voice going down because I could tell that her voice was going up, and she doesn't understand my reasoning. She's really not understanding why I'm saying it.
Right.
And I said, look, you were a sex symbol to a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I was trying to motivate. And she said, you know what? I got to go.
Oh, that fast.
And I said, oh, okay. And I called my wife and I said, Chantel. And she said, what happened? I said, conversation didn't go well. And she said, why? And I told her about it. And she goes, what the fuck is wrong with you? She said, Michael, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you say that to her? She doesn't
Right.
even know you. I said, no, Chantel, you don't understand. She goes, What do you mean I don't understand? What
Right.
do you not understand?
You just got hung up on.
You just got hung up on. Like, I don't understand. Are you fucking
funny.
retarded?
That's
Right?
funny.
So the next day, it's her birthday, right?
Freeze.
Free's birthday.
Okay.
And I get a text. You got me really fucked up, homeboy.
Oh no.
And I'm like, so I automatically go into neurotic Jewish mode. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
It's
If I
so
did
weird
anything
too.
to offend you,
Yeah,
if I
it's
did anything to offend you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She says, if you think you could talk to me however you want, you could just come out your mouth and talk to me. You got me really fucked up. You must be really thinking
Whoa.
you're talking to the wrong motherfucking chick. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. She goes, no, you don't understand. And we better never have this fucking conversation ever again.
Oh my God, she's so tough.
And I'm like, yo, and I'm literally like, okay, maybe I should not go to this audition
No.
because there is a chance that I might get jumped
Right.
by the Funky Bunch.
Funky Bunch. Marky shows up.
Marky's
He-
people,
he
not even
swings.
Marky anymore.
He swings.
Marky's people.
He's done
show
some
up.
terrible things in fights.
Horrible
I
things.
never want to fight Mark
I
Wahlberg.
know
No.
he beat up a transformer.
He
I
blinded a
do
man.
not
by
have
the way.
hands of steel.
By the way, he blinded a man in real
Oh,
life.
I know.
Yeah. We don't want that.
So she calls me the next day and we settle it out and she
Right.
hears me and she's like, oh, I get it. Yada, yada. We go into the interview, but I'm so self-conscious now the whole time. I'm just interviewing her to just show her that I respect her and I've done all my homework.
I respect you very much, Free, in front of other people.
Right.
Do you know how much I respect you? That's a good question for the interview.
That's right. Yeah. Needless to say, it's why we're not on Rock the Bells Radio today.
There it is.
But I stand by the line.
It's
and
a
I will
great
always
line.
stand by the line. And I'll
It's a
stand
great
by the
line.
record. And I will say this to you. You have been there for me in a lot of tough times in my life. You've opened your door to me. You've opened your sofa to me. And I love you like a brother. And I've definitely, there have been times I've held some resentments against you because you were doing TV shows and you didn't include me. And I was like, yo, fuck that dude.
Yes.
But I got over them because
Thank you.
ultimately at the end of the day, you're an amazing human being. You're a really talented human being. And I just want nothing but the best for you and Danielle.
Thank you.
And your beautiful son, because he sounds like one.
Yes.
And just, just all the best for you. I know you have a new show coming out, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
you have, so talk to me about
Well,
that.
I have a podcast quickly, and then I'll praise
Yep.
you. But my podcast is called No Sports Report. It's me right now with iHeartRadio, and I'm talking to athletes. This is the weirdest time in the world. I mean, truly, between the quarantine and the pandemic and now racial injustice and the murder of George Floyd and how much sports has played into it has been very weird. It's almost like we need sports to come back to feel normal. So I'm talking to athletes and sports industry professionals about how they're feeling about this whole thing. So I've talked to like Sugar Ray Leonard. I've spoken to Gavin Lux, who's the favorite to be Rookie of the Year this year in the NL. I've spoken to so many athletes. Literally at this point, there's 43 episodes of just me trying to figure it out. And every day, if you're a sports fan, it's mind blowing. Baseball is trying to come back. None of it makes sense to me. Everyone's getting sick. Everyone's testing positive. So it basically, the show changes day by day. It comes out 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then Danielle and I are launching our own Patreon network of podcasts that are hilarious and weird and funny. And we do this live stream show called Scorantine, and it's all going to be through our Patreon, the Carps, and that launches July 1st. Also, can I show you something I've never shown anyone?
Yeah, please.
Hold on, look at this.
Yeah. And by the way, my wife and I challenge you to Scorantine. That has to happen. The Barons officially want to battle the Carps at Scorantine. I also have goodies and treats that I will put up and battle.
Love it. We'll put it for sure. This is something that was supposed to come out this week, but because of the entire world being crazy, we're pushing it to the holidays. But I worked with the people who create Monopoly. That's a real true statement. With USAopoly to create this, which is the hip hop bid to win trivia game. They came up with the game and they had me write questions for it. And all of my royalties for this goes to Black Lives Matter, and it comes out during the holidays. And I'm so excited for it because it's a legit hip hop trivia game. Not like, this isn't like all the questions are about, Marky Mark to bring him back up. I mean, all these questions are legit hip hop head. There's a great Serch question in here. There's all these things that, I mean, what can I read you here that's really good? Like, what Boogie Down Productions DJ was tragically killed just months after the release of their debut album, Criminal Minded. Like, that is not something that just someone walks into a Target, buys the game, and knows the answer to. You and I know it clearly. You knew him. But the point is that this is a true, credible hip-hop trivia game, and it comes out this holiday season with all the royalties. And I think the Monopoly people are matching my royalty donation. So all my royalties will go to Black Lives Matter, and then USAopoly will match it. But
I'll tell you what. Why don't we do this? We have 135,000 people watching right now.
Okay, great.
So why don't we do this? Pick a question.
Okay.
Whoever gets the question right, first person, because I got the live comments coming in now. First person to get it right, I will buy them their game.
The game. Great.
Okay.
Comes out in the holidays. All right. I want to give one that's
it should be these are heads. Don't be scared.
Yeah. No, that's why I want to give a heads one. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't get to play, do I?
No. You're gonna get your gift at Hanukkah, Pumice. You're fine.
Ooh.
You're gonna love these. This is a great. Okay. What golden era rap trio was made of Large Professor, Sir Scratch, and K-Cut?
Okay. So what trio was Large Professor, Sir Scratch, and K-Cut? What was the name of that group?
Yeah.
The first live comment to come up, and I know people are Googling it right now, which sucks. I should actually have people call, but we have a great. By the way, if you ever want to call into the show, 561-4-HIP-HOP. 561-4-HIP-HOP. It's the greatest name ever. Eric Ford, congratulations, main source. Eric Ford is the winner.
There he goes.
Eric, you will be getting the game. Please make sure you DM us your address.
Yep.
When the game comes out during the holidays, we will be sending it to you. Sorry, Jim Nilsson, you are just that slow.
And it's cool. It's not just, I mean, I'm really selling something that comes out months from now, but you're the first people I've ever shown it to. But the cool part too is it's not, they also created like a whole dynamic of mixtapes. Like it's not just the trivia questions. It's like you have to bid and you put a certain amount of mixtapes on it. And then the first person to 5, whatever. I don't know the mechanism, but there's a whole mechanism to the game that goes beyond just the questions.
I think that's going to be a game show eventually.
Trust me, if I got that many, I've gotten so many emails about that, and I'm like, I can't even get the game to come out yet. So, I mean, listen, I hope it does. But this is really fun, and I'm excited, and obviously.
Should be. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Jensen Karp, ladies and gentlemen, you can find him on Instagram at
Jensen Karp, K-A-R-P, and on Twitter, Jensen Karp, K-A-R-P. And then the Patreon, the Karps, is coming out. And can I praise you for just 2 seconds before I go back to my wife?
Sure. I
truly 100% want you to always remind you that the reason I know you is because you helped create who I am. Like growing up, I was enthralled by your lyrics. I was enthralled by you. I was obsessed with what you were bringing to the culture, and that the fact that you took what you heard and you were influenced and you knew that it wasn't necessarily the culture made for your skin color, but you wanted to make it your own and you respected it. And those were things. Listen, I liked Beastie Boys. They were fine. They weren't my group. I knew that they were a rock band in their core. Fine. They were great. They're classics, legendary. But there was a rap group that spoke to me, and it was you and Third Base and your solo records and so many things that got me to the point of calling you during the roll call, mentioning you as my idol over and over again. And there was a time, and I don't know if you remember this show, but there was a show at the LA House of Blues when I was a kid. I was like in high school, and you came out to freestyle at the end of it. It was probably like Mobb Deep or somebody. I don't remember who it was. I couldn't tell you, maybe Tribe even, but there was a big freestyle session like they used to do back at the end of shows in the 90s. And I tried to go to the stage to meet you, and I was like 16, 15. It was a thing that was like constant in my life, more than my parents' marriage, who divorced around that time. I was always consistently a Serch fan, and then even more of a fan when I got to know you. And the fact that you're in my life this long and able to see my journey, I'm able to see yours, we're able to help each other. It's almost like you couldn't write it. To me, it's still mind blowing. And I love you and your family to me. And I anything you ever need from me is clearly a phone call away.
Well, thank you, Jensen, and I love you too. And I can't wait to see this son and have my son meet your son.
Be great.
And have Chantel and the whole mishpucha come together.
He's got a lot of hair. He's got a lot of hair.
I wonder where he gets that from.
Know,
ladies and gentlemen, Jensen Karp.
Thank you, guys.
Hot Carl.
Thank you, guys.
All right, man. Love you, bro.
Love you. Take care.
All right. Pumice, thank you for that, man. And jeez, I mean, understand that he's a legend. Even if you don't understand, he's a legend.
Right.
Like even when he drops records now, he just did a record recently. It's incredible. You know what? We talk so much. I know we're not going to have a lot of time for Put You On, but right now we gotta pay some bills. So we have to run a spot so I can go get some water. But this is our sponsor. We want to thank our sponsor, Mask, N95.com. And coming right after that, we got music from Bobby J from Rockaway, but we're also going to do one of my favorite new segments called Put You On. But stay tuned right after this. We'll be right back. This is the Serch Says podcast.
They tried to warn us.
The federal government is warning Americans about what's being called nightmare bacteria. The CDC says the organisms have now been found in 27 states.
Now to a story about a situation that's turning into a major public health emergency, a staph infection that is resistant to antibiotics.
This so-called superbug is killing tens of thousands in this country every year.
In the process, we have lost many lives. Simple pleasures enjoyed by young and old taken for granted. Our company Mask would like to present Respicare, the only NIOSH N95 masks that kill coronavirus and other harmful pathogens. Our masks trap pathogens using a patented 4-ply design. The outer layer is coated with a special hydrophilic plastic that increases permeation of liquids. Virus-laden droplets are absorbed into the outer layer instead of remaining on the surface. The acidic coating on the outer layer destabilizes the virus proteins and effectively inactivates the virus. When the virus enters the blue antiviral layer, which contains copper and zinc ions, they cause a structural rearrangement in the proteins, nucleic acids, and lipids, which result in the destruction of viruses. No infectious viruses will remain on the mask's surface. The absorption, destabilizing, inactivating, and eventual destruction of viruses can happen in less than 1 minute. We are aware of the challenges that social contact creates. Using the Respicare masks is a way to reduce cross-contamination by killing these superbugs when they make contact with the mask. Our Respicare, NIOSH, N95 masks protect against coronavirus, influenza, staph, and MRSA. We see this as a way to help protect the population from this growing pandemic. 4 layers. An outer layer traps contaminated droplets. Antiviral layer to destroy pathogens. Filter layer stops fine particles up to 0.3 microns. And the inner layer for final protection. Our scientists have worked diligently to create a mask that is capable of protecting against these nasty superbugs that have only gotten more resilient and deadlier over time. Our greatest test was to design a way to protect those on the front line. Our patented antiviral layer was tested at Nelson Labs, the gold standard for scientific testing and approvals for the CDC and FDA, and the results are in. Respicare masks kill 98% of some of the deadliest superbugs tested. And like any other NIOSH N95 masks, they come in 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large. We are a mask, and we want to protect those who put their life on the line, one mask at a time.
Is it getting better?
Order now. Use the code Serch Says. You get 10% off. Again, it's a amazing mask. It protects and kills the COVID and other viruses. 98%.
99.9%.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing tool to help prevent people from getting sick. Even though wearing a mask is against your personal freedoms. I've learned. I've come to learn that wanting to save other people's lives is against our freedoms.
It encroaches.
It encroaches. And it's now that time, one of my favorite times. Ladies and gentlemen, there are things that happen during the week, and it causes me to want to put you on. Who put you on to that? You didn't know about nothing. Now you know all about nothing. I'ma put you on. I'ma put you on. Search will put you on. You search will put you on. If you ain't on, now you getting on. I'ma put you on. I'ma put you on. God, shout out to Anderson Park. All right, so the first video I want to do, and we have a lot, but we're gonna cut it down because we got Bobby J from Rockaway. So I want to do this one first. So this I love. This is the Imperial March through the Grove in California. And what I love about this is the Imperial March need music. When the police are in their full riot gear, it is only right that they get marching music.
They should have a theme. Yeah.
A theme, if you will.
Right.
It should be musical. It should be apropos to the moment.
Encore, s'il te plaît, encore. Ah, c'est magnifique.
Where was this?
It was the Grove, but it was the Grove in France. I thought it was.
I was going to say that's not
France. Yeah, no, it was France. But it was the police in riot gear. And can you just run that one more time? It makes me so happy.
You like it that much?
It makes me so happy. Do it.
Encore, s'il te plaît, encore. Ah, c'est magnifique.
Magnifique. I mean, that is so. I think to all of my people protesting, when you see the police, please play the Stormtrooper March. Please. It's so apropos.
Sean in Calgary is with us, by the way.
So if you didn't know who put you on, I put you on. Sean, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Sean, how are you, brother?
Not too bad. Just chilling, listening to the show as usual.
Thank you, man. How's everything going in Calgary?
Actually, it's quite beautiful out tonight.
I'm glad to
And
hear that.
our protesters right now are protesting against CBE on trying to get more Black history put into the curriculum in school.
That's amazing. Good. I'm glad to hear it. I think it's important that there is more understanding of the contributions that all races have contributed, but certainly to whitewash men and women of color out of the history books is terrible. Let me ask you a question, Sean. Do you like card tricks?
Sometimes, depending on how good they are.
Okay, I'm going to show you a card trick right now. Tell me what you think about this card trick. Let me know what you think about this.
Is he going to be able to see this? Are you watching, Sean?
Yeah, I'm watching. I just have the volume turned down on my computer.
Okay. Yeah. Was really loud.
Let me tell you something. I love that. And you know what? That was 26
cool.
hours for 26 seconds.
Right. They set it up for 26 hours and it lasted
26 seconds. Thank you, coronavirus. Thank you, quarantine.
That looks awesome.
It was incredible. I love Yo, can I tell you something?
Well, the computer's like about 5 or 10 seconds behind what we're talking right now is what it's showing. It's still showing me the card trick right now.
It's fucking incredible. And what's so much fun, I could, if that was a channel, if YouTube just had Domino Trick channel, I would be stuck on stupid maybe half my life. I love that shit. I used to do that as a kid. I was so fascinated with the curves and this. And you know what? Run it again. Let's go.
Again?
Run it again.
You're crazy.
All right, never mind. Don't. Yeah. I love that stuff.
Do you think when they were doing it that it ever like messed up? It went on its own, right? When you're setting up those dominoes things and you got like...
I will tell you, there was a famous story about the guy who was trying to break the world's record. The person who was doing it, I think they had spent X amount of months setting it up. It was like, I think it was 15 or 16 million. And every time, and it was on Japanese television, and every time like it hit 1 million little units, a flag would go up and blah, blah, blah. And they spent months doing it. Rodents came in one night and toppled over like half of them. And it took another 3 months to rebuild it. So yeah, that's got to be painful. Let me ask you another question, Sean. Sean, how do you feel about basketball? Fan of basketball?
Yeah, I don't mind watching it once in a while.
How about basketball tricks? Do you like basketball tricks?
Basketball tricks are dope.
Great.
I like basketball tricks more than I like watching basketball unless
Oh,
I'm
then
live
this is
there.
perfect for you.
Well, then let's show my man. Do me a favor. Show Sean the one with the dude who has skills with the frisbee. Can we do that one first?
All right. Splash. Now that you know how my eyes be, I'm rocking shit.
I wonder how
Splash.
many tries.
It doesn't even fucking matter because all I need to do is see it once.
Yeah.
Splash. Crazy. All you need to do, and then he played the trap shit on top of it. Splash. Splash. That kid is lit for me. Hey, Sean, let me ask you another question, sir. How do you feel about dunks? Are you a fan of watching incredible dunks?
I like watching the replays of a whole whack of them, like when they're all in a row, like the best dunks videos.
Well, you know what? It's funny you should say that. Because with the NBA coming to my home city, Orlando, hopefully, and this is the other thing. Yo, Orange County, Orlando, get your fucking heads on right. Because if you don't wear masks, the NBA ain't coming. And we'll show the video. We got to show the old guy, right? Do we have the video of the old guy? We'll show that too. But anyway, I'm a basketball fan.
Guy. I thought that was for next week.
Oh, we'll run it for next week.
I would like it more if Canada had more teams.
Well,
we're stuck with just the Raptors, and they did one good year.
Let me tell you something. You got the Raptors, but unfortunately, Drake has to calm down. He has to calm down on, I know you get to sit on the wood, your feet are on the wood, but keep your ass in the plastic. Just, Drake, calm down. All right? Just relax. But do me a favor. Just show my man, Sean, just show him a couple of the dunks. Just
all right.
Roll them.
Buckle in.
That kid, did you see his head was at the height of the hoop? That means he has a 52-inch vertical. 52. Yeah, roll the other kid. Do me a favor. Show the 360. Roll that kid. Because
on my knees, thanking God that He got me through the pain. Danger. I don't fit in, I'm a stranger. Believer.
I cut you.
He ran out the gym like he won $1 million. Run that one again, because you got to see. This is a 360 behind the back, through the leg, left arm dunk.
Still a 10, on my left wrist in the soul place. On my knees, thanking God that He got me through the pain. Danger. I don't fit in, I'm a stranger. Believer.
And out the gym. That's the best part. He runs out the gym. His life is it's done. It's over. It's over. I Put You On is brought to you by LifeKey this week. LifeKey, again, go to lifekey.com. Put in Serch Says. You never have to touch anything again. We'll have the commercial for that next week. But, it's crazy. We have so many sponsors trying to get on the show. I'm doing the best I can. I need to hire a general sales manager. I need a sales director. I need people. Pumice is over.
Just surround. I'm
over.
Not enough.
You're not. You know.
I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
This relationship needs more people. We need more people. Sean, thank you for joining us every week, man. Have a great weekend. I got to jump into my next guest because he's been super, super patient.
He's waited this entire time, an hour.
He's
and
been
a
waiting the
half.
entire time. He is from my hood, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But he's from my hood. But his EP is so great. I really, really want you guys to go out and support this artist. I'm so proud of what he's doing, but I'm also equally proud of the amount of people that watch this show. Ladies and gentlemen, from Rockaway, it is Bobby J from Rockaway. Bobby, what is cracking?
Yo,
What's
Serch,
good,
man. What's going on, man? It's an honor, man. It feels like a long time coming, you know.
It definitely is. I love how you threw up the third
You know what I'm
base
saying? So
album
I'm
behind
happy
you.
to be
Thank
here.
you for that. It's very nice that you
Come
did
on,
the
man.
third
You know I
base
have to do that.
I appreciate it. Very nice of you.
Hey, man, appreciate it.
So the EP, man, tell me about the journey, because, you know, you and I were talking a little bit about this. You know, Far Rockaway and Rockaway are not exactly known as a hotbed for MCs.
Nah, definitely not.
You know, Father MC and I knew each other. We battled in Inwood. Then from me to Chinks and Stacks, rest in peace, and Persia, there's like a 25-year gap. There's like babies had babies between I got down and those kids got down. And then there's you. Talk to me about your journey and tell me, you know, why an MC and why that path. Because, I mean, everybody around you was cops. I mean, you grew up pretty much in the Rockaway area where it's predominantly Irish. It's predominantly, you know, policemen, firemen, firefighters, you know, that whole 116th area. Like, so why MCing?
I don't know, man. Like it was a very solitary existence as a rapper where I grew up. I mean, it's probably the furthest thing that anybody thought, you know, anybody coming out of my neighborhood was going to be. You know, there was just a time, you know, as a young kid being 10, 11, 12 years old, you know, I looked up to my older brother, Eric. He's 5 years older than me. And, you know, he was a huge hip hop fan. And I used to go into his room, steal his albums. And I pretty much went to school on, you know, all the 90s classics. You know what I'm saying? Like he had a stack of albums in his room. And I listened to Illmatic. I listened to Reasonable Doubt. First album I really fell in love with that was kind of my gateway drug to rap was Ready to Die. So, you know, once I heard those albums and I fell in love with them and I started to study them and understand
Do we not tell Bobby about having the Ethernet connection?
Dial-up is good, but it's not good enough.
Wi-Fi is good, but Ethernet is so much better.
But this is, I mean,
I think we actually, it's a good still. He looks
the
great.
The funny thing is, this entire time
voice.
he's been
yeah, that's just how it's.
But just so you know, you for the last
you've cut out most of this entire
30 seconds, you were frozen like this.
What's the last thing you heard? All right, so basically, my brother was my older brother Eric is 5 years old.
We heard that. This is, I'll tell you where you left off, and it's I think it's important. I think what you were saying is, you know, the gateway drug for you was Biggie, as it was for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then you started to write rhymes and go into that, and that's where you froze. So please continue.
Yeah, so I basically, you know, you start out emulating the people that you listen to, and you know, that's my whole thing was I wanted to challenge myself. You know, I wanted to figure out if I was going to be able to do, you know, what Nas did, what Jay-Z was doing, what Big Pun was doing, and just kind of this evolution, man. I started taking it serious around 13, 14. I went to high school at a school called St. Francis Prep in Queens, and that's where I first met like-minded individuals, other kids that were rapping, other kids that were doing music. And a friend of mine who I would battle in the lunchroom, my boy Anthony, who goes by the name Billy Bang, he was doing everything I wanted to be doing. You know, he was working with Kwame, who, you know, was, you know, I'll get into a second. He was working with Kwame. He was recording in professional studios. And, you know, this is the time, you know, early 2000s, late 90s, before, you know, everyone had a home Pro Tools set up. So just getting into a studio, just working with a producer, that was a step up for me. That was something that I desperately wanted. So I got real cool with him. He vouched for me to Kwame. Kwame, I guess, saw something in me because at the time I was very green. I barely could rap on beat at this point. That's how, unpolished I was. But he saw something in me at a very early age and kind of took me under his wing, started producing me, and I look at the time from maybe being 14 to 19 as my artist development process. And that's something that I don't think a lot of young artists really get to experience. So I'm forever grateful for that time because, he taught me the difference between just rapping. He taught me how to make records. He put me in the frame of mind of, wanting to actually be an artist as opposed to somebody that just wanted to battle everybody. So he gave me a really solid foundation, not only as an artist, but also, a knowledge of 80s hip hop and 70s hip hop, because at that time I only knew what I was exposed to and what I was listening to. So he broadened my horizons. And, from there we started making records, started putting out some songs. We had a record called Don't Touch that we put out in 2007. It was like right around the time that YouTube was starting to pop, World Star Hip Hop was starting to pop. It was a transition from, the regular forms of media and how people were consuming music, strictly on television and on radio. And, we essentially wanted to make the new Fight for Your Right to Party. And, we didn't have a deal. We put everything out independently, but I always say we were like 5 minutes early to the party. You know what I'm saying? We had champagne dreams and beer money. Didn't really work out the way we wanted it to. And it was so crazy because like right after that, Asher Roth came out, Mac Miller came out. And in a lot of ways, guys like Asher were using the blueprint that I was trying to use. You know what I'm saying? I was just trying to be, like a regular college white kid making rap music from an honest perspective. That at around that time, I was maybe, 21, 22, still living with my mom, like just got out of college. Rap at that point was going in a direction where it was like, do I still want to do this? Is this going to work for me? I'm still living at home with my mom. Nobody believes in it. You know what I'm saying? Like they kind of look at it like it's a pipe dream. And, I got into my head to the point where I was essentially the mad rapper. I got into this very self-loathing stage, didn't really want to do it anymore, didn't have the drive to do it anymore. And I essentially quit for maybe, 4 or 5 years, from the time of being 25 to 30. I was still writing and recording, but I wasn't really putting anything out. And I just didn't have the confidence in myself. But I realized that I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy when I wasn't making music. And,
I'm certainly glad that you got out of that that rut, because this new EP, and let's talk about this new EP.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked really hard the last couple of years to be consistent and put out a lot of music. So the new EP, how did you connect with Static Selector? And let's talk about the new EP, the single, the video. Let's talk about that really quickly. And how did that kind of get popping for you?
Static. So I met Static at a Jay Electronica show at Brooklyn Bowl. Jay Electronica actually has a segment at the end of his show where he brings people on stage to rap. So, it's like he'll bring up a local MC, they'll spit a rhyme. Usually it'd be like two or three rappers. And I was one of them. I got the biggest response from the crowd after I got off stage. My boy Sean, who's kind of been, a manager to me, also kind of a mentor to me. He knows Static from just being at the bowl. And, he introduced us. We, kind of exchanged pleasantries, talked about possibly working together. And, Sean had been sending him stuff of mine, from this freestyle series I was doing on Instagram called Breakfast Bars. So, he just kept sending him music, and eventually Static was impressed and asked me to come to the studio. And we ended up cutting 2 records for my last album, which was called Summer Classics. And then, the response to those records was so crazy that it only made sense to do a full EP. And that's how this Endless Summer project came into fruition. So, my whole thing about this EP and a lot of the music I make is I want to capture that summertime feeling. You know, I miss those hip hop feel good records like, you know, Far Side, like you know, Diggable Planets, like you know, Arrested Development, Tribe Called Quest, those fun hip hop records that, you know, epitomize summertime, make you feel good. But it's also rooted in, you know, the classic stuff that I grew up on. So that was the direction I wanted to go in. And I feel like, you know, as soon as I walked in the studio and told him what I wanted, he nailed it. You know what I mean? He played like 100 beats. I narrowed it down to 20, and then 5 of those became the EP. So it was just incredible work.
And for,
process,
and for those people who don't know the EP, the name of the EP is
Endless Summer.
Endless Summer. And what song are you going to be performing for us?
So I want to do a song called Autumn Leaves. This is a song that I wrote about my father, you know, who I lost to suicide in 2007. You know, this is probably one of my most personal records. You know, and being that Sunday was Father's Day, I feel like it's appropriate.
All right. The floor is yours, my man. This is Autumn Leaves.
Yes, sir. Just let me know if you could hear the music, because I wanna make sure that the sound is right before I do it.
No problem. We will let you know.
You hear it?
Status selected.
Yep.
Autumn leaves, November raining, earshot, teardrops on my window painting. It's been so long since I said your name, you're like a distant memory. I miss you endlessly, but 12 years might as well have been a century. I hope you found serenity and God grant you clemency. This wasn't meant to be. We never knew about mental health issues or your suicidal tendencies. I was only 20, but still a child mentally scarred. The shit affected me tremendously. It didn't seem that way then, but it seems that way now. You took the easy way out. You could have seen this play out. Now you'll never hold your grandson. He's got your son's blue eyes. I promise he's so handsome. How come you never said goodbye to the boys you raised? I love you, Pop. I just can't accept the choice you made. Thinking shit was all the breeze, but things change like the seasons. Autumn leaves, autumn leaves, autumn leaves. Things change like the seasons. Autumn leaves. I went through life thinking shit was all the breeze, but things change like the seasons. Autumn leaves, autumn leaves, autumn leaves. Things change like the seasons. Listen, Pop, you'd be so surprised. Eric's sober now. Shit, he almost died. He's much older now. He shouldn't kid himself. That's why he's focused on his health. He's got to kid himself. Your father passed. I told Denise we couldn't make it. Sent a gift to Bruce and David. Sorry, but we couldn't fake it. Cause since you left, we don't really speak as much or speak at all. To keep it real, we don't keep in touch. And Mom is doing good. She's retired now. After 40 years, shit'll finally quiet down. And Kelly tied it down. They're finally gonna tie the knot. And me, I'm still rapping, striking while the eye is hot. Remember, Pop, when you bought me Pro Tools and told me never stop? That's the greatest gift I ever got. No cap, I just thought that you should know that. The times they are a-changing. If only I could go back. Until we meet again, things change like the seasons. Autumn leaves, autumn leaves, autumn leaves. Things change like the seasons. Autumn leaves. I went through life thinking shit was all a breeze, but things change like the seasons. Autumn leaves, autumn leaves, autumn leaves. Things change like the seasons. Autumn leaves. All right.
Bobby J, Autumn Leaves, ladies and gentlemen.
1 second.
Beautiful.
Appreciate it, bro.
Beautiful, man. Thank you. Bobby J, I appreciate it. I am a fan. And thank you. And thank you, your manager as well.
Yeah, shout out to Greg, man.
Yeah,
he's
shout
very
out to Greg,
persistent.
man.
He's very persistent, but
incredibly persistent, that man.
Yeah,
Filled
man.
my
Thank you.
inbox. Pause. But he's a good dude, and you're a great dude. And I'm a little jelly that you got them tree tawns. I'm gonna have to call Glaciers of Ice.
Oh, hold up. I got him right here.
I gotta cop them tree tawns.
Yo,
Glaciers of Ice to make me them Bobby.
shout out to
yeah.
Glaciers of Ice. Hey, they made the custom tree torn nightlights for my album, Summer Classics.
Yeah,
man, that was the dopest thing I ever got, man.
Yeah,
thank you guys.
Incredible. Thank you. All right, man. Bobby J, thank you. The Endless Summer EP is out now. You can get that on Spotify, wherever you get your favorite music. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you to Jensen Karp. Thank you to everyone who watched the show, who's involved with this show. Want to shout out our team, Miles, Joseph, who handles research, Chantel, and of course, Prime Minister Pumice, who does his thing. Thank you, sir. In the words of my wife, Chantel, I feel like rhyming. Throw a beat on. Let's just rhyme for a minute. You know, get a little rhyming. I don't know. If you play a beat, I'm gonna be like,
I'm bowing out on that one.
Yeah,
for myself.
I'm just kidding. Are you sure?
Yeah,
you wanna
I'm
bow
pretty
out?
sure.
Yeah. All right, that's fine. I think it's a good idea for you to bow out. Listen, in all seriousness, I want to thank our sponsor again, Mask, and the amazing mask that they created. It is the Masco, N95masco.com. The Respiracare mask is the only mask that can protect you 100% against COVID and other nasty viruses that can make you sick. Please wear a mask when you go out. And if you order one, use the code Serch Says and get 10% off. You know you want a mask. You know you got to rock a mask. It's coming to the summer. You want to be out, be fly, but you need something to protect your face, or you're going to get that Rona.
Do it.
Be easy and get a mask. N95masco.com, our sponsor. Use the code Serch Says and get 10% off. In the words of my wife, Chantel, please remember throughout your day to say what you mean and mean what you say. If someone turns to you and says, have a good day, please turn around and say, no, you have a better one, because what you want for me, I want twice as much for you. And just remember, if you don't have an agenda in this life, someone will give you one, and it might not be nice. So always have a plan. Pumice, any last words?
No, I'm good.
All right, my friend. All right, we love y'all. We'll see you next Wednesday. A great show next week. Check out the show on all of the Spotify. Blase Splees. We're going to chop it up, cut it up, make it fresh, make it sexy. Thank you guys for staying through the nonsense at the beginning of the show that promised the Pumice fucked up.
Oh, yeah, me.
We love y'all, man. Good night, guys.